I'm joined here by former Toronto FC captain Stephen Caldwell at the team's training facility on the day when Robin Fraser was introduced as the club's new head coach. A familiar face to Toronto FC fans, having been part of Greg Vanney's staff in the glory days when Toronto FC made it to back-to-back MLS Cups and won, of course, in 2017. Is he the right man to turn this ship around?
Well, there was certainly a lot of good feeling in this building today, wasn't there? And we've not seen that for a few years, Luke. It did feel like a little bit like the old days with the continuity. Jason Hernandez playing under Greg Vanney and Robin Fraser back in 16-17. So is he the man? We can't answer that question today, that's in all honesty. But what I found today was a press conference that had a lot of honesty, a lot of humility, saying the right things, and Jason Hernandez alluded to that. It's easy to say it, it's harder to do it. So I think that humble, honest, sort of feeling throughout this press conference was what I took away. And TFC are a side that are trying to rebuild, they're trying to go again and build something significant and bring back the glory days. So Robin Fraser is a guy who is capable of getting the best out of players. He's going to first inherit a squad that's lacking, I think, in some areas. But he is going to try and get the best out of them, and he's going to work diligently, and he's going to work with the hand that he's got. He's not going to complain. He's going to get on with the job, and once he gets the pieces, that's when we'll be able to judge him best.
It has been a revolving door, not only in terms of coaching staff, but players as well, and maybe to a certain extent the front office, since Greg Vanney left and there were all those changes. I actually mentioned to Robin Fraser when we chatted about some of the names that have come in here and couldn't fix it.
Yeah.
The likes of a Bob Bradley or a John Herdman who had coached at World Cups. Chris Armas, who knew the league very well as well. What does he need to do differently? Why will he be able to fix something that other people couldn't?
Well, I think, again, Robin's going to come in and he's going to do the best with the players that he's got. I think his MLS experience is absolutely key. Both names that you mentioned, John Herdman didn't have MLS experience, and Bob Bradley had sort of been away, came back with LAFC. It's going to be hard. It's going to take some time to figure out why it never worked with they guys. Maybe the infrastructure of the club wasn't there, and maybe it is now. But it's too early to be absolutely certain about that. But I do think Robin Fraser is a guy that's going to get on with the job and is pretty clear on where this club's at and maybe the steps that are needed to get in the right direction. So I admire that honesty. I think it's the way that TFC have to go. They have to be honest to the adoring public, the fans that are amongst the best in MLS, deserve the truth. And the truth is, this side is very far away from being contenders to win MLS Cup. It's going to take multiple stages and the right people in the right positions to get them there. And they're trying to start that today. And it's going to take a while. We'll see how it goes, but it was certainly had a good feeling to it, this press conference and the introduction of Robin Fraser.
I was impressed by what both Jason Hernandez and Robin Fraser had to say, and as you say, the authenticity that yes, Robin Fraser brought, and his vision for what he wants this club to be moving forward, to take it back to those glory days that he knew in the past. And he knows that it's going to be a long road ahead to be able to do that. And in Major League Soccer, part of it is what you can do with the roster at any given time. Now, Jason Hernandez, I asked him today about Lorenzo Insigne and Federico Bernardeschi and whether he thought that they would be here come the start of the season. He said right now they're Toronto FC players. There have been no firm inquiries, or they're not discussing deals for those players to leave. If the roster is as it is now, can Robin Fraser still be successful? And if so, how do you take those steps forward with a squad that wasn't good enough?
Yeah, well, it depends what we determine success to be. A club like this, success is playoffs and going quite far in the playoffs. So the answer is no. He can't be with the squad that he's got. He needs other pieces. And the difficult thing for Toronto FC is going to be, how do they trade for their pieces? How do they let some form of an asset go to bring in a better asset, a better football player? That is so intricate and so difficult. So in many ways, the job is a lot harder for Jason Hernandez in the front office and the staff that's going to be tasked with that job than maybe it is for Robin Fraser. He's going to get a group of players that he's going to be asked to make better. That's any coach's job, is to be handed a squad of players and to try and make them play to their maximum or play a little bit better than their maximum, be better than the sum of their parts. That is his challenge, and he'll do his best in doing that. But the pieces that come in are vital, and they can't get any wrong, Luke. They can't make mistakes. They can't get 2 or 3 wrong and then have to realise that they then needed to be traded because it will just take too long. So it's a mammoth task.
Just finally, there was a lot said about the way that they want this team to play, the difference in style and a clear identity that when people come to watch Toronto FC, They know what they're going to get. They know how they want to play, the hallmarks of that game. What did you make of what they said about what they want the on-pitch product to look like?
Yeah, I thought they said the right things. It's somewhat easy, being a football guy, to come up with a strategy and come up with a way that you kind of hope things will go and the way that a team will play. It's harder to establish that. But I think they said the right things. In many ways, I think being bold with how they want to play is a brave step. It might be a little naive. Maybe they should have been a bit more vague in terms of how it'll look, how it'll kind of pan out, because as we know, it doesn't always go like that. You've got to get the best out of the players that are at your disposal, and that might mean playing in a way that you don't quite want to play in. You've got to be a little bit private with that, I would say. So very open, very honest, and kind of bold and brave with what they say.
But I think that's what the fans deserve at this point, don't you, to get them on board?
I think so, but once you make statements as a general manager or as a head coach, then you should stick to them, you know. And again, that you were talking about honesty and integrity. When you make statements, you've got to follow that path. And so the difficult thing for a squad in such a rebuild phase is to make these statements, because then you got to stick to it. So I think, again, I admire it. It's brave, but it could come back to haunt them a little bit. But at least they're trying to set out a philosophy, an ethos, club ethos, as Keith Pelley, the CEO of MLSE, told us, and a way of establishing TFC as a brand in MLS again that is up in the upper echelons, and a team that can compete consistently for trophies in MLS and with CONCACAF.
A lot of work to be done over the next few weeks. Toronto FC training at the moment in Toronto before leaving next week for Europe.